think it was my second transfer in the mission when it happened. And we were doing personal study because it was, I can't remember the exact time, but around like 8:15 or so. And we were sitting down and it almost felt like I was in at first it felt like, oh, I was in a vibrating chair or something, and I couldn't see very well. And I couldn't figure out what was happening until my trainer was like, oh no, it's an earthquake. And so we kind of, I don't know, it felt like forever, obviously, but I don't know how long it actually was. But after, like, it was really hard to walk, and it was just like the whole ground was just going up and down. But all of us kind of just huddled around in the door frame because we'd heard that that's what you should do for earthquakes. We found out later that in the Philippines it's actually better to run outside because I guess the buildings aren't built like they are in America, where they're just built to fall around door frames. I'm not really sure. But so we huddled around the door frame, and first we were really scared because then we got a text from a member like, oh, because of the earthquake there's a tsunami that's coming, so you need to like leave the house and go to high ground. And then we had some senior missionaries that said the same thing, like go to high ground. So first we were like trying to move everything upstairs, but in between all of this, like there's a ton of aftershocks and stuff, so it feels like chaos. But after like a couple minutes of that, we're like, okay, wait, no, before we do anything, we need to pray. And so all of us went to the door frame again and said a prayer, and Sister Sears, one of the sister missionaries that I was living with at the time, said the prayer. And I don't know, like, while we were saying the prayer, another aftershock hit, so all of us just kind of ended up in a tight circle holding each other. But I just remember feeling like such peace and knowing that Heavenly Father was totally watching over me and the people that were around me and all the other missionaries, and that I didn't need to worry too much. Like, I needed to be careful, but that He would be watching over me and over the other missionaries. And I don't know, it felt amazing. And after that, we had the most amazing branch president, and he was over. He's like, sisters, like, come with me. We're gonna take my car and we're gonna go up to high ground. And they were so sweet because there was some confusion about where the keys to the car were, and they didn't want to leave us. And I was so grateful for the members there, because that's totally what Filipinos are like, where they're just so sweet and always thinking about other people, and they're so generous. And anyway, we all got to high ground and we were safe. There wasn't a tsunami or anything in our area, but it was a little bit scary seeing people running around in the street and being terrified with all the collapsed buildings and everything. But we were so blessed. In other areas on Bohol, like their apartment buildings like collapsed just after they got out, and so all of us were so blessed that we were all safe and sound. There was, I can't remember the exact number, but I think they said like 2,000 aftershocks that were felt afterwards. So for the next, I don't even remember, the whole time that I was in that area, for the rest of the time, there was an aftershock very regularly. Like, I don't want to say almost every day, but at first for sure like several times a day, and then over time like once every other day, but super frequent still. So when I came home, sometimes like I'd feel the ground shake and just look and see if it was, like, look at the trees to make sure they're not swaying too. And the majority of our days were spent doing service and packing relief goods for people, because the earthquake was centered probably, I'm not sure exactly, it's hard to tell now, but not very far from where we were, but there was a ton of devastation there. So no, they didn't have food or running water or anything. So we spent a long time, and it was cool because we got to wear like the missionary helping hands vests, and our whole mission came to that island and did service there. Elder Anderson actually came too. I can't remember how long afterwards, but pretty soon after, and he came to where it was the worst, and we went with the members, and for a whole day just like kind of went to the worst parts of where it had been affected on the island, and just did service with Elder Anderson and all the other missionaries. So it was a super neat experience. But yeah, it was amazing, like all of the missionaries and members coming together. And it was neat too, because I stayed in that area even after kind of the hype had died down. And there were some random people that I would meet in the street, and they'd be like, oh, you're from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They brought me food. Or like, oh, they helped me clean up my house. Or it was just so fun to see how that had rippled through the island, and a lot more people heard about the church and knew about the church. And so it really helped like bring the work, or help the work to progress, especially like see all the calamities that are happening and people worried about their families and what's going to happen to them, and just being humbled by that kind of experience. So there was a lot more people that were receptive. It was an incredible experience. It was so fun to see how the missionary work progressed from that, and from the typhoon afterwards too.